Farcaster. It is Monday, November 20th, and we're here with Adrian and the Nounish Prof, bringing you 21 minutes of Farcaster news to start your day. And GM, Adrian, how are you doing today?
Good
How's it?
morning. Doing great. How are you?
How was your weekend?
Weekend was relaxing, recharging, um, full of drama that had nothing to do with my life.
I do with my life either, but it was full of drama, and I was glued to my phone pretty much the whole weekend. So we might as well start a little bit with that. Since
Thank
it's not,
goodness for the internet.
thank goodness for the internet. Um, Obviously, the big news that everyone's been talking about is OpenAI and all of the drama with Sam Altman being removed by the board and then being, I think, maybe even asked to come back, but maybe deciding not to come back, and now is going to Microsoft. So all of that drama, but where it was primarily unfolding was Twitter. So it might have felt a little quiet. So Farcaster seems dead at the moment, Zaz said. Thoughts? And it was really, I think, related to the fact that everyone was over on Twitter, uh, figuring out what the heck was going on with Sam. But I did think that it was a little bit more active. And Dan had mentioned last year Farcaster was way less active during the SBF stuff than Twitter, but right now Farcaster is just as active. At least it was a couple days ago. Fewer posts, of course, but every time I refresh, there's something new that's progress. And sort of what my approach was, like, I still think that Twitter is the breaking news platform, right? It's still, that's where you go. You don't even go to any of the other social media. To me, like, that's where the actual news is being broken by the people involved with it. Like, that's where you're going to find the things. But what I used Farcaster for this weekend on that front was like checking the news I was hearing on Twitter, because I felt like those who kind of hang in the Farcaster ecosystem have a lot of direct connections to this particular story. So it was interesting to see and hear like what people were saying in regards to how they know in their own experience and like their takes on the news that was coming out. So that was my 2 cents on all that. What were your thoughts on it
Yeah. Are
all?
you saying more signal than noise?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm
Maybe.
saying. Yeah. Yeah, may not have gotten the
Um,
breaking news, but you got the better, like, what's really going on kind of thing.
yeah, I saw the news break on Friday, went to post it in Farcaster, because I think that's what we do. It's like, okay, you might take things from somewhere else, but we want to feed it into the ecosystem we like to hang out in the playground. Um, and probably my whole feed was full of it. And people, yeah, and people talking about it. So it did feel, at least on Friday, as active um, and
Definitely.
engaged as Twitter
And it was the
for a
funny part
minute.
was the discussion about the where to post this. Which channel does this go in? Does this go in news? Does it go in AI? And it seemed to be most people were either putting it in AI or just the regular home feed. But it was, and someone else said home feed. Just put it on the home feed for now. But it was kind of funny to see that. And maybe we need a breaking news channel. I don't know. We have a news channel, but I don't know. Breaking news felt different. I don't know. What were your,
Well, that's one of the challenges. I think that's one of the challenges of channels is when it adds friction
yeah.
to how you
Oh,
interact, it's not a good thing. So if you have to think about where should I post this, if it's not, I don't know, I don't think that makes for the best user
yeah.
experience.
I agree. Like that is yeah, that's definitely a little bit of a and I hadn't seen that really happen in real time before, where I even had a thought of like I don't know where to go to find people talking about this. But it was just like trending and home feed and then, pretty much in the AI channel, but very interesting. And then our calls to Dan to go live on Moz finally got picked up. So he did do a podcast. And there were a couple memes as well. So I loved this. Satya hearing they used Google Meet, and I took that personally. And then Satya wins, get ready to learn MS Teams, buddy. Which I Yep, I'm saying his name right. Which I thought was hilarious. Like that to me was sort of the funny part of this whole story was like, we called you to a Google Meet to tell you you're being fired at the
It
biggest trillion-dollar company in the world. Like, and by the way, Microsoft is pissed you didn't use Teams. Let's take over your whole entire
Well,
company.
I love it. It was a flashback. I got nostalgic for the early days of the pandemic when everybody discovered Zoom.
Mm.
We forget that
Yeah,
people. I mean, I've been a remote first employee for 15 years, so
yeah.
I'm
So
kind of
you're
used to
not.
this.
It
But
was
we forget that most of the world was not, and people discovered this
so
thing called
true.
Zoom. So I remember during the pandemic, just the hatred for Teams, and there were coming. It was just it really took over my socials was how much people hate Teams. Now Microsoft in the background has been, iterating, improving, and at this point, honestly, all the video chats and
Everybody's the same. Yeah,
they're pretty commoditized, so they're fine. So I just like the just bringing back the retro
yeah.
uh, bashing on Teams.
It's just like
That was a
it's
good
same
one.
thing with Internet Explorer, or now called Edge. Really not edgy.
So yeah,
Same kind of thing.
I
The
like
best use of
I like
Internet
links
Explorer, downloading Chrome.
links in our chat.
Yeah,
Links in our chat
yeah.
today. I like your take
Teams
on.
sucks.
I
Zoom
said they're all the
sucks.
same. He
It
says they
sucks.
all
They all
suck.
suck. Yes, they do all suck.
How about
It's so funny.
Unlonely? How do we feel about
Unlonely doesn't
Unlonely?
suck. No, it's quite good. Although I'm
Abora.
getting used to the new interface. Still a little different. I still haven't figured out. We still don't know how to get into the VIP room, so don't bother going in there because we can't get in. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. Uh, that is so funny. Yeah, yes, I was not used to channels, but yeah, now you can rally to see what's happening. It's a best place to take a peek at things. Edge equals Internet Explorer. Exactly. They just
Does
gave it a
not
new
equal.
name. It does not.
No, does
No.
not equal Internet Explorer. It was a
Yeah.
complete rewrite. Thank you for validating my. I am the only one. I am the only Microsoft promoter in Farcaster. I am a PC girl, and I'll talk about using Edge, and I don't care. People will trash me, and I'm going to stand behind it. So
Boomer.
thank you.
We call you a boomer, but I hate it when people do that.
You just wait. I'm saying there's innovation and
Okay.
great things happening in the Microsoft world, and I'm
Well, I
very
mean,
pleased.
apparently they're now in charge of everything else that happens from this point on in humanity. So we better be nice to Edge. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize. I take it all back. Okay, moving on. We do have a new Outcasters out today, and I thought it was absolutely stunning. It was a lot of fun, and I knew as I was scrolling through, I hadn't looked to see who the curator was, and as I started to scroll through, I knew it was Chris co-created just because of the things that popped up. And there was like this beautiful picture with this little girl dancing that was just stunning next to a ballerina statue, and it was just stunning. And there was just all these really fun things. And I found a couple of casts that I hadn't seen before, and one was from Grace Seymour, who was new to Farcaster, and said, "My first 72 hours of Farcaster, awesome discourse and memes, discovered incredible Web3 tech that now lives on my home screen, a wave of nostalgia from a specific NFT, bringing me back to remembering my late father, meaningful job hunt progress and community. Thanks, DWR and Farcaster." And I thought that was just really lovely because I had not seen that post, and I thought that was amazing to see that. Um, anything that jumped out for you from Outcasters this week, or any thoughts on
I
that?
missed I missed that one from was it Greg Seymour? Is that who's up?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Is that his name? Beautiful post. I loved the Outcasters this week, and my favorite thing to do is Sundays to scroll through Outcasters, just the visual. It's like it
Hmm.
does it's an email, and yet it almost feels like a client.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like it feels
beautiful.
like a Farcaster client. So,
Yep.
and yeah, and then I'll click through the ones I like. You look at the cast behind it, and then I've been recasting and liking, and
Yeah, it
um,
helped me find a couple casts that I had not seen before, and sometimes I see them but usually it's like the images I just for some reason haven't seen them. But this time it was actual casts that there were a few there that I hadn't seen before, so that was kind of cool.
yeah, it was great.
So great,
We
and
got a
I'm
shout out.
actually
Thank you, Chris, co-created.
Thanks. Chris co-created. It was great this week. And I'm going to be curating this coming week. So I'm curating Outcasters this week. Very exciting.
You
So
are.
yeah, I'm excited. Okay, moving on. I feel like there was one more. Oh, from also that reminded me was this Kahlo cast that said, "Is it me or there is more art people on Farcaster every day?" And I thought that is kind of reflected in Outcasters. As you see that sort of the beautiful art and sort of a different takes on what we're seeing on Farcaster, I definitely feel like the art is, I'm seeing more art every day. I'm seeing more images every day. So I definitely felt that as well. What did you think of that? Agree
Um,
or disagree?
well, I just love, we all have our own experience. So, if he's perceiving more artists, that's fantastic. And it's great because I think that's what he's looking for. Um,
Good point.
and so I don't really have an opinion on, I think I feel surrounded by artists. So my
Yeah,
experience in Farcasters, I am seeing art. Is it enough? Um, I don't know. I think, but Callow also, I was, I listened to one of his podcasts yesterday, so I can link that up too. But
yeah.
he interviewed an artist couple who made the very first what it's called an NFT, but it wasn't an NFT because the term wasn't even created back in, I want to say, 2014. So it was like an artist couple
Curio cards?
experimenting.
Was it curio cards or was it moon-cats?
No, neither.
Okay.
Pre. It was like the
Hmm.
first kind of on-chain
Cool.
experiment in art, and I'm only about halfway through the podcast, so I don't ask me. Don't quiz me.
Awesome. Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
link it up.
Yeah, show me that. Send that link, and we'll post that there too. Very cool. And it looks like somebody had posted. Oh, the Outcasters as well. Um, Okay, so a couple more casts related to OpenAI. I thought Ted's cast was hilarious. Thoughts and prayers to every girl dating a tech bro or VC guy right now. RIP to her weekend date plans. But also, I thought Meg's comment was good. Not dating a tech bro or VC guy right now, but on the edge of my seat. So goodbye weekend plans. Same. It wasn't about the bros. It was about me getting completely obsessed with it. Uh, Literally, all of you right now, you're too online. Okay, you've lost context. Everything is fine. Yes, we might be all too online. And then I
I like
thought,
the secession. I like the secession memes,
I do too.
and I liked everyone saying
So
it's the best.
appropriate.
This is the best episode of Secession that's been written. I like
Completely,
that take.
completely, absolutely. And then I thought Vitalik had a really interesting comment here. My own experience is the opposite of this, and he's talking about EA. I feel like I would have been a significantly worse person without the influence of EA ideology. So I think there's been a whole other discussion that's going on around effective altruism and between this and Sam Bankman-Fried about how effective is it? I guess is the discussion, really the discussion point. But I thought it was interesting to see Vitalik comment on that aspect of it because he has been pretty big into that particular movement. So, um, and it was interesting to see him comment that on Farcaster. So that's where
Well, let me ask
signal
you.
signal versus
Yeah,
noise again. Yeah.
let me ask you a question. So you live in Florida. You work in
Yep.
entrepreneurship. You're heavy into Web3, um, but you
I'm
probably don't
scared.
identify as being. Yeah, you probably don't identify as being Silicon Valley.
No. Yeah.
Okay, neither do I. Um, so how much do you know? How much do you know about effective altruism?
Very little. Like,
Mhm.
my introduction has been in the past year, and I think it really came from, the FTX stuff. That's when I first was like, "What is this? I have no idea." Like, it was not something that was on my radar, not part of my world. Nope. So, it's really been, and also ACC, like, acceleration, so that has been, again, something that's come into my zeitgeist probably in the past year
Yeah.
of just hearing what these concepts are but they weren't on my radar before that because I don't live in California, so I'm not in Silicon
And
Valley.
that was my big when I reading the SBF book that Michael Lewis wrote.
Mm,
What I had heard of EA, heard of effective altruism, and kind of understood the concept. I had no idea how influential it was
Mm,
within a group of people who had
yeah.
influence.
And that's what this is
So,
coming down. So it's really interesting to hear that this is an EA coup, and hear it like posed in that manner. And the more that's coming out, it really does seem this is like a philosophical coup rather than over money, really, in a traditional business sense. So it's kind of this, I think, just makes it extra level of fascinating for sure.
yeah, and there's a question about what does EA even have to
Yeah.
do with OpenAI? And look, and obviously information's coming out. We're only getting what we know, but it seems like there's the theory that um, it had to do with a rift between philosophical differences between safety and and acceleration and speed, and we're seeing that. But
And the
it's
board being very deep into the EA, um, I don't know, ecosystem or philosophy or whatever you want to call it, but very, very deep into that. So that's why OpenAI was founded originally as a nonprofit and then had this kind of strange structure with these for-profits under the nonprofit. But the nonprofit aspect was relating to that effective altruism sort of approach. So it has a direct link to it. And I think the idea, or I think the bet that the board was making was that a lot of the team members at OpenAI would side with them on that part of it. And I think they miscalculated, greatly miscalculated. So that's kind of the connection on that. Yeah. And it's
um,
yeah, and there's a lot of, and I
there's a
see that I'm
theory.
looking at the chat right now, and it says, yeah, on brand thing SPF tried to use. Um, so yeah, there's effective altruism for real, and then there's people who use effective altruism for their own purposes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I certainly like I'm not qualified to opine on any of this, but certainly, there's that theory about, wars being about resources. People are
Mm.
fight when in reality, I don't know, maybe all war since the beginning of time is always about religion. And
And power.
this feels religious.
Actually, it
So,
feels like it feels like power. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. Like that, so I was thinking about this in terms of like infinite games. So business is an infinite game, right? It never has an ending until the business goes bankrupt, essentially. But even then, you can have some continuing things. So in wars, it should be a finite game, but they never are, right? They usually end up as an infinite game, and that to me feels like sort of this connection of that when you talk about wars, always usually having this religious connection. This could be very similar in this particular game. Yeah, you might be right. Philosophy is just, a different way. Religion's just another way of saying philosophy, right? They're very connected. So, this is really deep for Monday morning. Like
can we go
getting
back to
really
memes?
deep.
Can we go back to the meme channel, please? I'm very uncomfortable
Hold
talking
on.
about serious things. This is not what I
Like,
signed up to do.
speaking of, hold on. So we'll lighten this up a little bit. We still have some wow wow. Like seriously, do you even wow wow? So wow wow has, taken a little step back, but it's still memeing away. So and we do have wow now. So yes, we did have a little name change to Wownar, which I thought was pretty funny. And also we do have, I just wanted to shout out everybody at DevConnect doing FarConnect meetup. And I thought that's amazing. And I'm looking forward to listening back to some of the talks that happened there. Um, and on a totally different note, I loved Phil's question in the parents channel. When did you have your first child? And if you could do it again, would you have started sooner or waited longer? And that got a lot of engagement. So there was a lot of chatting about, the age that you become a parent and whether it's too soon, too late. I definitely waited too long. No question in my mind. And I said, and I just shorthanded it the Murtaugh rule. So if you know who Murtaugh is from Lethal Weapon, And he would always say, I'm too old for this shit. If you start too late, when your kid becomes a teen, that's what you say a lot. So I say that a lot these days. I'm too old for this shit. So start younger. That's all I'm saying. Um, so I thought that was a really fun. It's all just memes. Yep. Our world is just one big meme, Doofy. It's one big meme. I did see one other, speaking of memes, just to close this out, if I can find it. Hold on, I don't know what I did with it now. Here it is. Johnny Mac in the memes channel, speaking of, or just Johnny, yeah, in the memes channel, barbarians, because they started memeing like crazy in the meme channel. Um, we're just over and over again saying, I was just down an amazing rabbit hole of a thread, and it just went on and on and on and on and on. So that was pretty amazing. So yes, the meme game is still strong, even when there's other actually hard breaking news. And with that, scanning the chat, see if I missed anything. Yes, we can actually talk about a lot of things without threats to our life. I think that is an important part of Farcaster. And I've seen some amazing discussions on a lot of serious topics where people can have very respectful conversations. It doesn't, delve into sort of this, what we see in other social spaces. So that is pretty cool. And anything else before we wrap? We kind of got a little distracted by the OpenAI stuff, but didn't everybody? So
Well, come for the news. We got to talk about what the news is of the day.
there you go.
I think
And
we
we
said
did
it.
just push out our weekly recap. Sent that out yesterday, so you can find that on my channel in Farcaster, and an FAQ. So if you're like, I don't know what this is or how I got here and want to learn more, check the show notes, and you'll find the FAQ in there. And with that, we're a little over time. Anything else before we wrap? Oh, last day to vote on Purple Prop House. So last chance to get your votes in. And there is actually a new Gitcoin grants round that came out, sponsored by Purple. If I can find that link, of course I cannot right now. But if you go check the Purple channel in Farcaster, you will see that there's a new
I had
opportunity for
questions on
grants.
the Gitcoin. Yeah, I had questions on that. So let's talk about that Wednesday.
Okay,
And
let's do that
heads
because
up,
we've got a few
schedule.
days for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and schedule change this week, Thanksgiving week
Yes.
in the US. So we're here today, Monday. We're here Wednesday. We are off on Friday.
Yep. Good call. Thank you for reminding everybody. And with that, we're going to call it. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Monday, and we will see you on Wednesday.